Hi, I'm Mike Peterson with Springfield Restoration, our business development consultant. Here today with Jordan Lederman from Lederman Insurance, a great agent here in the local area. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
I'm trying to get just a little more information and education out to the public about insurance.
Sure.
Many times, people can go their whole life and never have a property claim. And when it does happen, there are questions that come up because it's not something that happens every day.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to families with young children, what are some coverages that they should be considering?
Yeah, if you've got younger drivers in your household, physical damage coverage is a good thing to think about. Physical damage is specifically coverage for damage to the vehicle itself if it's involved in an accident. It's a little bit of a catch-22 because if you've ever had a younger driver on your policy, it's already expensive, and having that extra coverage just makes it that much more expensive. But at the same time, those younger drivers are the ones more likely, on average, to be involved in an accident to need that extra coverage.
Right.
Other part of that is that you might look at raising is liability coverage. Again, with that younger driver and on average, the more likelihood of an accident happening. Having that liability coverage protects you from being held personally responsible if you or that younger driver are being involved in an accident and being held responsible for injuries or damage.
When it comes to homeowners insurance policies, there is some confusion there, and one of the things we often hear is that coverage will be provided if the loss was sudden and accidental. Can you kind of give us a little bit of a general idea of what that means?
Yeah, so that's the way most homeowners policies are written, is the damage has to be sudden and accidental. If it's more of a gradual or long-term type of damage, a lot of times you'll run into coverage issues or claims will be denied because of that. Most commonly we see that with different types of water damage. If you've got a slow leak or just a gradual water damage in your home there, a lot of times you'll run into coverage issues. It does have to be a sudden and accidental loss, usually, for a homeowner's policy to come into play there. Two kind of rules of thumb we go by is, one, it's good to do like a monthly review or a monthly inspection of your home, just especially the areas where you've got those different types of water systems, plumbing systems, be it your kitchen or your bathroom or washer, dishwasher. Make sure you don't have any signs of water damage. And then two, if you do have any signs of water damage, call somebody to come take a look at it. I know as a homeowner, it's easy to see that small buckling spot on the floor or that water spot on the ceiling and think, well, it's not that bad, or it hasn't gotten any worse recently, and ignore it. But it can be the sign of a lot bigger problem. And the longer it goes, the more likely you run into coverage issues or that being more of a long-term issue.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great advice. Take a look at those things. Basements, it's always good if you're not down there that often to make sure you're checking. Attics is another area that people don't think about. So yeah, that's great advice.
Yep.
Storm damage can do a lot of different things, right? Sometimes it causes trees to fall on properties.
Yep.
And there is some confusion on what's covered and who's responsible if a tree falls from a neighbor's yard into your yard or onto your home. Can you give us maybe just some general thoughts on tree damage?
Yeah. So a question we get a lot, especially in this area, we see a lot of wind and trees down because of wind. Generally speaking, if a tree comes down because of wind or a branch falls off and causes damage to your home or belongings or fence, that's going to be covered under a standard homeowner's policy. If the damage is on your property, usually it's your homeowner's policy that's going to respond there. That's a question we get a lot is, hey, my neighbor's tree is leaning over on my property. Is their policy going to cover if I have damage? Usually it's your policy that's going to cover if it's your damage on your property there. A couple other things to keep in mind there. Usually there's very limited coverage for removal of the tree itself. $500, maybe up to $1,000 on a standard homeowner's policy for getting rid of that tree. And then the other part of that is if you do have a tree down, it does have to cause damage to your property, to a structure or personal property belongings for the homeowner's policy to come into play there. If you've got a big tree that needs chopped up and hauled away, usually homeowner's policy is not going to cover that.
Yeah, so if it just falls in my yard, I'm pretty much responsible for removing it on my dollar.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Very good. All right, Jordan, when it comes to water losses, there are various different types. Can you help explain, again, in generalities, the difference between flood coverage, sewer backup, or maybe just a regular water line break type of water coverage?
Sure. Yeah, no, companies do separate it out into different categories of water damage. Flood is one you see a lot. Flood coverage is going to be specifically surface or groundwater that makes its way into your home. Think water coming in under your front door or through a window in your basement, or even seeping in through cracks in your foundation. That's going to be flood, and that is almost never covered on a homeowner's policy. For coverage for flood, there's a separate flood insurance policy that you can purchase if you need one. Water backup is pretty much just what it sounds like. If you have water backing up or sewage backing up through a sewer or drain system, we see this commonly in finished basements and have damage as a result of that water.
Right.
Again, a standard homeowner's policy actually excludes that coverage most of the time. Most companies, they'll give you the option to buy that or add that back in. Some policies even include a limited amount automatically. And then some other types of water damage we see would be just a burst pipe, or a dishwasher leaking, or a hot water heater leaking. Big things on those is, one, it does have to be sudden and accidental. If it's a long-term issue, that's when you can sometimes run into coverage issues there. If it is sudden and accidental, those types of water damage are typically going to be covered on a homeowner's policy. And then the other thing to keep in mind there is damage to the appliance itself or the pipe itself typically is not going to be covered. It's just the damage caused by the water that escaped from that appliance or from that pipe there.
Yeah, that's good. I think sometimes homeowners believe that insurance is going to cover their maintenance too.
Right.
But maintenance is part of a homeowner's responsibility. So maintaining, your pipes, and if there is damage or a leak, the responsibility to the homeowner is to fix that leak. Any damages that are caused by a broken pipe might be covered under their policy.
That's where the home policy may come into play.
Right.
Yep.
Very good. When it comes to basements, people need to think about the type of coverage they have, particularly if they have a finished basement. Can you give us some general guidelines on what you would recommend for basement coverage?
Yeah. So basement coverage, a big thing there is going to be, it goes by different names, but water backup or sump pump overflow coverage. It's something that's typically not automatically covered on a homeowner's policy. Some companies will include a limited amount for damage caused by water backing up through a drain or a sewer system, or a sump pump overflowing if you get heavy rain and the sump pump can't keep up and it backs up into your basement there.
Right.
A lot of companies will let you purchase coverage for that. If you have a finished basement, I always recommend having at least some of that coverage, and I'd highly recommend talking to a local agent as far as what you might need there, because as you can probably attest, it doesn't take very much water to cause a lot of damage to a finished basement. That's going to be carpeting and drywall and furniture and any personal possessions you have down there.
Yeah, that's right, because it needs to cover not only the dry out of the property down below, whether it be drywall, carpet, flooring, but it's also replacement of any of those things and the property that may have been damaged as well.
Yep.
Jordan, as a company, we always encourage people to have a local trusted agent like yourself that they can turn to. Why do you think that it's important to have someone like yourself there for a homeowner?
Sure. Yeah, having a local agent means that you've got a face to go with the voice. You've got somebody that you can go to and talk to in person, starting with setting up an initial policy and going through different coverage options and different situations that you might need covered. And then down the road, if you have questions about a claim on what's covered, or dealing with the insurance company or dealing with an adjuster, you've got somebody who's in your corner that's able to give you some expertise and advice. And again, it's just really nice having somebody local instead of having to call a 1-800 number or going online for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have one, I would definitely recommend having a local agent you trust.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I mean, I think it's so important to have someone on your side who's right here and can help walk you through the policies, not just trying to save you money, because in the long run, it may not save you money when a claim comes. You want to make sure that you minimize the amount of risk that you have as a homeowner and as an auto owner.
Absolutely.
And I can attest that the team here at Lederman is excellent. They'll make sure they take great personal care of each one of their clients. Thanks again, Jordan.
Thank you.